within Spain, there's actually a couple separate regions, I guess you could say. All of Spain is obviously a country, and the main country's language is Spanish. But in Barcelona, for example, the main language there is actually, it's called Catalan. And so if you go to school, they speak Catalan, and then they'll teach you Spanish as a second language. So your school is in a different language, and then at home, in theory, and in one class, you'll be learning Spanish. So most of the kids that come out of Barcelona actually end up speaking Spanish and Catalan. And then there's also Gallegos, which are from Galicia. That's the part above Portugal. And as weird as it sounds, Gallego is actually a mix between Spanish and Portuguese. As similar as those two languages are, it's actually a mix of those two. So they have their own language, and you can understand what they're saying perfectly fine if you speak Spanish. It's a little bit different, and there's words that are obviously, completely different that you would have to memorize. But if you know Spanish, you can communicate with every one of those different groups. And the older generations there are a little reluctant to let those languages go, but the younger generations really hold to Spanish because that's kind of their national language, and those other languages are getting a little less dominant in those parts of the countries. And then, what you were saying, there is a little separatist group up there, kind of in the center northern part of Spain, that are they don't want to be part of Spain. They're always trying to proclaim that they're their own country. That's the Catalan. It's from Catalonia. It's just like its own province up there. And they actually took a vote while I was there to see if Catalonia could break off from the country, and they lost, so they didn't get to break off. But I know they did have their own terrorist cell called the ETA, and they had killed a lot of people a couple of years ago, maybe 3 to 5 years ago, and then they kind of went inactive for a while. And while I was on my mission about 1.5 years ago, they did send out another message kind of threatening to reactivate if things didn't go back their way, and the government was kind of doing peace talks with them. But they've been relatively inactive for 3 or 4 years now. But that whole area, I wouldn't say all the people want to break off, but there's just a lot of extremists there that are saying, this is our country and we don't want to be part of Spain and want to speak our own language, and they don't want to let it go. But I wouldn't say that that's the predominant feeling in that part of the country, though.